Hey, I'm Paula, and I am a pack to a pack and a half a day smoker. I have smoked a pack to a pack and a half a day for the last 27 years. I am 52 years old. This is what I look like. And I come here to tell you this because many of you, including some small children, have been frightened and terrified by another 52-year-old smoker. Now, we don't know how much this smoker smoked. They don't tell us that in the commercial. The commercial is to terrify any smoker and to terrify anyone who knows and loves a smoker into trying to bully them into quitting. We all know Terry, who passed away at age 52. God rest her soul. And we know that at age 51, the smoking industry, anti-smoking establishment, took videos of Terry, and she's got her, you take a video of yourself before you look like this if you're a smoker. And then we see her in a hospital bed, and she's all bloated, and she's got tubes coming out of every orifice. Who is Terry? And I'll tell you who she's not. She's not me. Because I am 52 years old. And I smoke a pack to a pack and a half of cigarettes every day. I don't apologize for it. It's legal. I enjoy it. But I bet there is nobody out there who wants to put me on TV. Hey, this is what a 52-year-old pack and a half a day smoker looks like. No, they don't want me on their TV. They don't want me over in England on their packs of cigarettes. Hey, smoke Virginia Slims. You'll look like me. See, another friend of mine from across the pond, Pat Nurse, she sent me a video of the fact that in England, they actually put people like Terry, and we're going to get to Terry in a minute. She's an interesting subject. She's somebody that we should know a lot better than we actually do. And yet she has so much influence over, especially our children's lives. Like Belle, and is it Elle from Frozen? Yeah. They know those characters. They also know Terry from the TV commercials. We're going to get to that. But in England, apparently, when you buy a pack of cigarettes, they have pictures of people like Terry on every pack of cigarettes. People who basically look like monsters because they dare to smoke legal cigarettes. They use legal tobacco products. What the hell good does that do? Seriously. I mean, when you go into Burger King and you order your daily Whopper, do they put a picture of a 600-pound obese monster-looking person who can't leave the house because they can't fit into the seat of a car on the wrapping of a Whopper? No, they don't. They don't. And it's kind of weird because obesity actually is the number one cause of preventable illness and death in our country. It's obesity. Fat people get sick. People who eat a Whopper every day for lunch with the double fries and the chocolate milkshake get diabetes. They get heart disease. They get high cholesterol. They are on all kinds of medications, and they have to have insurance pay for that, or your tax dollars pay for it through Medicaid. When they become disabled, when they become so fat they can't hold a job because there is not a seat in the office big enough to hold their 600-pound weight. But we don't see their pictures when we order food that is bad for us. We don't see their picture on the bucket of Kentucky Fried Chicken. We don't see their picture on the Big Macs. But when you buy a pack of cigarettes in England, you see pictures of people like Terry. And again, what do we know about Terry? We know she was 52 years old when she died, and we know that, according to her, she had lung cancer. And because of what the commercial says, we know that she was a smoker. We don't know how much she smoked, and we don't really know if only smoking caused what we see of Terry. Because let me tell you something that Political Paula knows for a fact, because I've witnessed it in person 4 times. I know people who died from lung cancer. And I know smokers who died from lung cancer. And none of them on their deathbeds looked like Terry. None of them. Now, I know nothing about this woman, but neither do you. And yet your children are seeing Terry on the television. And then, as happened to me, I had a 5-year-old who loves me dearly come up to me and start crying hysterically because I lit a cigarette in her presence. Outdoors. She cried because she told me I was going to look like the woman with the hole in her throat on TV. And then I had to explain to this 5-year-old, who is now 7, that no, that was not going to happen to me. But again, this is a little girl who likes Frozen. This is a little girl who watches cartoons. She likes Dance Moms. She sees big fat Abby Lee Miller and thinks she's, okay. Big fat Abby Lee Miller, obese. Not kind of the person you would think of as a dance teacher, but, everybody loves Abby Lee Miller and loves watching Dance Moms. But Terry, with the hole in her throat and the big bloated stomach with tubes coming out of her, that person became a role model for a 5-year-old who cries when her dad lights a cigarette or when I light a cigarette because she thinks we're going to end up like that. That is ridiculous. And I had to explain to her that this is a commercial. We don't know anything about Terry, and we don't. We don't know how long she was smoking. We don't know how much she smoked. But I know for a fact, the people that I know one person that was diagnosed with lung cancer at age 49. Now, he was a smoker. I mean, a smoker. I mean, he never did not have a cigarette in his hand if he was awake. He smoked 3 to 4 packs, sometimes 5 packs of cigarettes a day since he was 14 years old. Yeah, he got lung cancer. But even on his deathbed, he didn't look like Terry. It's just like, again, if you have one Big Mac a month, you're probably not going to end up being 700 pounds and not being able to fit into the seat of a car or buy an airline ticket. But if you eat 2 Big Macs a day, every day, for 20 years, yeah, something bad's going to happen. See, they don't tell you any information when they give you these commercials. Basically, Terry could have smoked 1 cigarette a day for 20 years, and she got lung cancer from something else. We don't know where Terry lived. We don't know if she had radon in her house, if she had been exposed to asbestos, or some kind of environmental issue at her job. We don't know anything about her. All we know is that I smoked. And look at me. Yeah, well. See, I know 4 people, like I said. My stepfather was diagnosed with lung cancer. He had never had any issues, never had health issues at all until he was 72 years old. And he was diagnosed with lung cancer. He was a smoker, but he also owned a body shop. And back when he owned the body shop, he was basically inside a garage. It was at his home. And he was painting cars, inhaling fumes, with no masks, no protection, because back then they didn't have those protections, and he didn't use them. For 40 years he did this every single day, and his doctors told him his lung cancer was not from smoking cigarettes. In fact, he had recently quit smoking when he was diagnosed. This seems to be a pattern, by the way. And his cancer was caused by the accumulation of the fumes he inhaled without wearing protection while doing body work on cars for 45 years. My godmother, also diagnosed with lung cancer 2 years after she quit smoking, was not a smoker at the time of her diagnosis. And the first thing her doctors asked is, where have you lived in the past 20 years? They felt that her lung cancer was environmental. And talking to her one day on the phone, I mentioned the fact that she was a buyer for a clothing store here in Lancaster, and she went to New York City a lot, including after 9/11, right after 9/11. After they cleaned it up and reopened the city, like a couple weeks later, she was going to New York every week, every 2 weeks, staying overnight, breathing that air from that graveyard that is 9/11, ground zero. And I said that to her, and lo and behold, when Fox Chase, where she went for her cancer treatment, they did a story on her. And they mentioned New York City and 9/11. I guess I can say that's thanks to me. But that again, my great aunt Sadie passed away a few years ago from lung cancer. She was in her 80s. She had not smoked a cigarette for 40 years, 40 plus years. And the doctors told her, lung cancer, nothing to do with smoking, that everyone has that cancer gene. Remember, we talk about this. Everyone has cancer in their bodies. It's just something turns it on. And when you turn a certain age, sadly, it turns on, and it goes to the most sensitive part of your body. And for my Aunt Sadie, it was her lungs. But her lung cancer was not caused by smoking. And by the way, she was diagnosed, and 3 months later, she passed away peacefully in her home and did not look like Terry from the commercial. Not at all. So there you go. My husband's great aunt died from lung cancer. She never smoked a day in her life, and she was in her 80s. She also did not look like Terry on her deathbed. And they figured out that the reason that my husband's great aunt got lung cancer was because she lived in a house that was like 300 years old and had radon in it. So for her entire 50 years living in this house, every day she was breathing in a carcinogen just for getting up every morning and living in her house. So there you go. There you go. 4 people I personally know who didn't look like Terry on their deathbeds, who got lung cancer, and even the doctor said it probably wasn't from smoking. Now, the one dude who smoked 5 packs a day, yeah, well, again, if you abuse any legal product, it's going to make you sick. If you abuse alcohol, you're going to get liver cancer or liver disease. If you abuse smoking, you're going to get lung issues. You're going to get all kinds of things. But see, Terry had this thing in her throat, and getting throat cancer, let's remember what else causes throat cancer. HPV, the human papillomavirus, causes throat cancer. You know, they have that Gardasil vaccine that people were worried about giving to their little kids to prevent cancer. Well, HPV actually does cause cervical, neck, anal, and throat cancer. Throat cancer. Yeah. You know, I don't think I have to give you a picture of how you get throat cancer from having sex, but you can figure it out. I'm sure you're smart people. My viewers are smart. So we know nothing about the people who do these commercials other than they smoke cigarettes. Like millions of people smoke cigarettes all over the world and don't end up looking like Terry. And the people who show you their chest cracks, their scars from heart disease, and they say, well, I was a smoker, maybe you should ask them too if they drank, if they ate cheeseburgers, if they ate hot wings, what was their diet? Because heart disease, the main cause of heart disease and blockage, where you need to have your chest cracked, is bad food, bad diet. But nobody knows anything about these people in these commercials other than they smoke cigarettes. We don't know how much they smoked. We don't know what other parts of their lifestyle could have contributed to their cancers. All we know is that the anti-smoking establishment wants us to see them, and they want our children to see them and to be terrified by these images they see on television, sometimes 7 times a day. I'm lucky. I DVR a lot. I fast forward through commercials, but our children do not. They're watching live television. And when they're watching Cartoon Network or some channel that they enjoy, Food Network, and then this commercial comes up and they see Terry. And then they see someone like me that they love. And they see me light a cigarette. And they get scared. So I'm going to share this video. And I hope this young lady will get to see it. But I will say this. There are children in this country, all over this country, who are on more prescription medication than I have ever been in my life. The longest I have ever been on a prescription medication was birth control for 30 years. And even that was against my will. So I'm Paula. I smoke. I like smoking. I'm not going to quit smoking. I am on no prescription medication. I have no health illnesses that I know about. I stay as far away from doctors as I can because I find the more you go to a doctor, the more things they find that might be wrong with you. And the second doctors and pharmaceutical drugs get involved, you get sicker. You all of a sudden start dying from things that have nothing to do with your disease, like pneumonia or autoimmune deficiency or complications due to chemotherapy or due to cancer treatment. Not me. Not me. My greatest wish is that I live every day as if it's my last. I enjoy every day. I don't allow anybody else to dictate how I live my life. And that when my time is up, when my little time bomb, my little ticker that started ticking the day I was born gets to 0, that I just simply go to bed one night and don't wake up the next day. That's how I choose to die. I do not choose to die on pharmaceutical poisons or spending the last days of my life in support groups wearing ribbons or sitting in a room getting poison injected into my body, doing comedy routines or whatever. I don't have a make-a-wish wish. I don't need anybody coming into my room while I'm dying and say, oh, look, so-and-so came to give you an autograph and take a selfie with you. I don't need that shit. I don't want to be part of any support group. I don't want to be part of any kind of ribbon thing or bracelet thing. I'm sorry, that's just me. I live my life every day the way I choose to. And so far at 52 years old, the way I've lived my life has worked out pretty well. Even when I've had some stumbling along the way, I've used illegal drugs. I have not apologized for that. I have used cocaine in my early days. I drink a lot and I smoke a lot. And I eat food that is fried and trans fat, and I use salt in every meal. A lot of salt. I don't care. I really don't. What I do care about is when a young child that I love dearly gets hysterical because she sees me light a cigarette and tells me that I'm going to look like Terry someday. And I promise you, my dear, I will never look like Terry. Because when I become, if that day comes, where I get the diagnosis, I know how to handle it. And believe me, you will never see me on a commercial looking like Terry. You'll never see me on these pages looking like Terry. Because I know how to end things before they go that far. Before I let a drug company kill me or a doctor kill me like they killed my mom. I know how I'm going to go out. At least if I have a choice, if I know I'm going out. But what I will not do is bow down to these scare tactics and these scaremongers who continue to inundate our televisions and now these cigarette packs in England. Thank you, Pat, for sharing that with me. To try to talk people out of doing something that's legal. And the only other thing I can say that would make it just a little bit more fair is to go ahead and put a picture of an Abby Lee Miller on a Big Mac. Do you want to look like this? No, I don't. Ooh, throw the Big Mac in the trash. But again, that's kind of counterintuitive to selling a product, isn't it? to force any product to put people who are suffering from something who we know nothing about on their packaging to discourage people from buying their package, that's ridiculous. And I can't believe the government over in England has gotten away with it. And I certainly hope it never happens in America, because I'll laugh my ass off. I mean, my God, we are supposed to have freedom of choice in our lives. You may not like me. You may not like that I drink, or that I smoke, or that I cook with salt, or that I use trans fat when I fry things. And I don't give a shit, because guess what? You don't have to like me. I have to like me. And I like me just fine. So let's just end where we started. I'm Paula. I am 52 years old. I drink about 6 glasses of wine a day, and I smoke a pack and a half of cigarettes every day, and have done so for 27 years. And I look like this. I do not look like Terry. This is what I look like. And anybody out there who wants to put me in a television commercial, I will let you talk to my agent and we will negotiate a price. I would be happy to do a commercial any day of the week to show what an actual healthy smoker looks like, and that we do exist. You know, the M&M's guys, they don't exist. Belle is not real. Elle is not real. The Disney princesses aren't real. And this viewer questions whether Terry is actually real. Think about it. And again, I'm easy to find. YouTube, Facebook, message me, you agents. I smoke Virginia Slims Silver. I'll do your commercial. Just saying. Political Paula. Out.